looking at the underlying energy, right? We're going to be starting off with the Three of Coins, and the Three of Coins is all about setting a tone or setting a premise for your expansion, right? This is expansion in the sense of like ready to do the work, put in the effort. You know, it's patience is required here, of course, when it comes to that kind of energy, but because of course you're waiting for whatever you've been manifesting to come in. You've been putting in the work, but I feel like as well, right? This is you guys, you know, considering. Oh, excuse me. No, that's not the Three of Wands. I'm sorry. It's the Three of Pentacles. I don't know. I've seen that as Three of Wands, but this is honestly you guys planning for the future, trying to figure out, you know, based off of everyone's weaknesses and strengths, how you guys can move forward. You know, what benefits, what you guys, you know, what you guys benefit from the most working together. You know, that whole dynamic, right? Figuring out what your dynamic brings to both, you know, what does both of your sides bring to the table, if that makes sense. Like, what do you do that can help the other person? What does the other person do that can help you? But also it's just about figuring out, you know, which, you know, if there's a future at all to even be had in the first place, right? Trying to figure out if there is even a future between you and this individual. Right? The reason why this Three of Pentacles, Three of Coins is coming up is because of the Ace of Wands. And I think I just messed up this deck too. Okay, but awesome. With the Ace of Wands. Okay. Damn. You all started out taking action on the relationship. You know, this is something that you wanted, you went after it. Definitely no holding back whatsoever. And this is now about, you know, I think you guys went with passion, went with your heart. You didn't really, you know, think about how the future would turn out. You were just in the moment with it, which is not a problem at all. So now you guys are contemplating and thinking about what plans need to be made going forward, because there is something, you know, there's either this was reconciliation for you guys. The Ace of Wands can indicate that, you know what I mean? But I feel like there is something like you want to really, there's something real about this relationship that obviously you want to take to the next level. You just don't know what, you just don't know how, you just don't know what dynamics exist exactly isn't, you know, of the relationship is really going to help you move forward. But you're planning that, you're planning forward, you're getting ready for expansion and moving forward, right? And building of some sort of stability of, you know, a long-term commitment, some sort of legacy together. Now, with this could be the one showing up though. This is somebody that is definitely, you know, again, like you've already met them. I think this person is definitely an ex, but this doesn't have to be. This could be someone that you met brand new that just hit a note in your soul that's singing to the sky right now, that y'all are in love. And I think that's, you know, you guys are just ready to just make this a reality, you know, make this real in the sense of like starting to, you know, expand in love of some sort. It's exciting. Now, starting off with this person here, pick the side, whichever side resonates with y'all the most. But this person, what they're thinking of going into the relationship is the Knight of Swords. They're ready to fight for it. This person is fighting for this relationship. They are adamant about having the victory that they feel that this relationship can bring them, right? But the thing is, too, that the Knight of Swords is going into it tunnel visioning. He's not looking at other perspectives or other ideas. This person is totally going into it with their own way of thinking, their own style, their own whatever. So they're not really open to different things, which is why the Hangman is coming up for this person. This person is like adamant about fighting for something, fighting for this relationship. They truly want this relationship to happen and for this to be prosperous. But considering that they've got other stuff in here that talks about either going within or stagnancy, they have some things that they have to kind of become open about and surrender to in order for it to really start to cultivate. Now, the other person has the Ace of Cups. Now, this is, for them, this is like a brand new, this is an emotional, excuse me, I would say this is a new love thing. You know, this is a new opportunity in love, and they do see this as that, but they also see this as an opportunity for spiritual growth. They see themselves as growing emotionally, spiritually, and allowing and trusting their intuition a lot more. This is trusting themselves a big time, because this is a door that's opening to their hearts. And I think this is for them a learning experience for themselves as well, because this is tapping into their emotional space that honestly they probably never really go into very much, right? This is someone that's very, very, probably very focused on other things, but not their emotions. So this is an opportunity to truly delve into their feels, to truly, figure out their ins and outs of what they, of their hearts, and ultimately too, going after what they want. Now, what's interesting though, is that how they present themselves is the Nine of Swords. They look like they're constantly under stress. They look like they're constantly like under some serious pressure. Like they seem like they're, they're full of anxieties. They have tons of anxiety right now, and it's not because the situation is bad, because the situation actually looks pretty good. It's because they have they're not seeing the situation externally. Okay, I see why I was thinking the Three of Wands, because the Three of Wands is actually right here. Okay, but anyway, I knew that I'm like, why am I talking about the Three of Wands and it's not even in this reading? It is in this reading, but anyway. But this person is coming from a place of anxieties and stress and doubts and worries and all this and fears, right? They're coming from a place of not really empowering energy. So of course, right, this is allowing them to have faith, and this is a spiritual growth process for them, because this is about believing in themselves, trusting in themselves, and being okay with going along with it, with how they feel, and trusting that they can accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, despite the noise and the craziness that their mind will come up with that isn't really true. Because the Nine of Swords is about, it's all the stress and stuff that's accumulated and that's come up in the mind, right? This is coming from the mind, and it's not actually coming from the physical situation at this moment. Because if that was the case, this person wouldn't have their eyes covered, as you see, right? This person is actually holding their children, it looks like, holding their children and looking out at the darkness of the swords. So, it's interesting with this deck, because this person actually is seeing the situation outside, but they're looking towards the darkness, right? They're looking towards that dark spot, the darkness in the crevices of their mind. If swords are representations of thoughts, they're looking at the darkness of their mind, the darkness of the thoughts. So they're not able to really see the situation clearly, because they're not looking at the situation. They're looking at the thoughts. They're looking at the things that either they've experienced in the past that they don't want happening again, or they're just not very, they don't feel very secure. Okay. Now, that being said, this person here has got some things to change as well. Like, for instance, with the Hangman coming up, right? It talks about surrendering to a different perspective. Like I said, this person's tunnel visioning this relationship. They're adamant about fighting for it, but they have to see something from a different perspective. They have to see the situation from a totally different angle. And even though this person is trying to trying to take action in the relationship, perhaps, or thinking that this relationship is needing of action being taken, the Hangman is showing that they're not doing anything. And it's not because they can't do anything. It's just because that they're the way that it's like they're hitting a brick wall with the way that they're going about it, and they have to you have to see something from a different perspective. They have to go about it with a new idea or a new way of kind of thinking and communicating in order for there to be an impact. Because I think this person is like, no matter how hard this person is coming at them, there's no effect. Right? This person is in a situation where there's no changes, nothing changing. The situation is still fucking the same. But the thing is that if they see this person from their perspective, right? If they take a look at this person, or put the shoes on of this person, they'll be able to understand what they need to do in order for there to be progress, right? Progress is the fundamental problem for this relationship, because there doesn't seem to be very much. Somebody's like, even though this is a new beginning, emotionally, this person is still scared. This person is still worried. This person is still stressed. This person is still, entertaining thoughts that don't encourage growth. At the same time, this person here is not able to do anything differently, because they're hitting a brick wall with the other person. They can't change it because they're not seeing the situation from the perspective that they need to see it in order for things to change, right? So they have to kind of like wear the shoes of the other person in order for them to understand and to create true progress. So, and that's hard, right? I'm going to actually pull another one for that, because I'm going to see, what do you guys need to see of this other person? And it's going to be very different for a lot of you guys. It's not going to be the same for everybody, but it does help to kind of get some sort of ideas of what area or what perspective do you need to surrender to, or is it surrendering personally, like surrendering altogether, like not taking action whatsoever, just allowing the other person to do their thing, and you just kind of be open to it, because it may be that the situation is not calling you for you to do anything, and it's you actually, this person or whoever. I say you, I mean I'm talking to the other person, whoever identifies with this person may be so adamant about getting something that they don't realize that they need to not do that. They may need to just chill, take a step back, not do anything, and actually just be open to things coming in, open to love coming in. Because if they're doing too much, if this person's doing too much, they're going to be, it's like forcing a situation, right? You're going to be possibly doing the opposite of what you want, right? Instead of making progress and being the person that always does something, you're always going to see situations that don't change. So this person may have to actually take their foot off the gas and actually just coast. You know what I mean? Just coast with it, because that's what I'm getting. This person may just need to coast, and this person needs to just kind of like see that this, the full throttle is no longer on for this person, and maybe that'll give them space to breathe. Who knows? But this person, the reason why they have the Hangman and the Knight of Swords in their mind space, right, is because of the Hermit. Obviously, this is someone that's definitely gone within, figured, they know their power, they know their strengths, they've healed, they've done the things that they need to do to be able to go out there and fight for what they want, because they've taken the time out to figure out exactly what they needed within themselves and what they needed to know about themselves to be able to, start even considering a future. But at the same time, I feel like this is someone that still kind of considers themselves on a solo mission and thinks that they need to do everything by themselves, which is why the Hangman is coming up here, because there's nothing that can happen if you're constantly in the state of, I'm going to do this by myself. I can make sure this happens. I can make it work. Independence is great, but when you start thinking that you can do things on your own in a dynamic of a relationship and you expect goodness and balance in the relationship, you're not going to see the results you're not going to see good results from that. You're not going to see the results that you want, because if you're doing all the work, you're always going to see yourself. You're never going to see the other person, because you're not considering the other person or giving the space needed for the other person to do what they need to do. Now, the other person, the reason why they're showing the Nine of Swords and they're present, like, they're looking like they're stressed all the time and under a serious amount of stress and anxiety. And the reason why they're thinking of the Ace of Cups, being emotionally open, having, taking this opportunity to grow emotionally and spiritually, is the Three of Wands. Is that they see that there is expansion, there's potential for greatness in the relationship. But of course, there's work that's going to be needed. And I think that this is a doubt of their capability of doing it, right? This is their doubts of their capability of making this future happen. And so it's not about whether or not the other person works with them or not. It's about if they can do the work that they need to do. If they can, do what they need to do to accomplish that. And at the same time, this person may have done work before, and they may have, they may have been, doing some things in regards to the relationship to improve it, and they have yet to see the results of it. And I think here's the thing, right? I think it's going to take time, of course, understanding that there's going to need to be time dedicated to growing a healthy relationship, because nothing happens overnight. And I think this person's anxious because it hasn't happened yet. Something that they've been, improving, right, is not quite yet ready to come in yet, because they're not in a position of accepting that. So they're not open to it either. Even though they know this is a brand new beginning, their hearts have to be open, they're not open to it because they're stressed about what could go wrong. If they stop thinking about what could go wrong and be open to the possibilities of greatness to come into their lives, things can really start to grow and prosper. But right now, this person has to find the faith in the self, and the relationship is helping them do that. It's forcing them to look at themselves and figure out where their strengths are, so that way they can expand in their life. Because the King of Pentacles, it's interesting, what brought you two together is the King of Pentacles. Independence and stability that you guys show yourselves, right? It's very interesting. I'm actually going to pull an extra card for that, because I don't quite know why the King of Pentacles is coming up for what brought you two together. It could have been that a Taurus brought you two together. It could have been that financially you guys were set. But the King of Pentacles knows his worth, knows his value, ready to commit. The King of Pentacles. Why is the King of Pentacles coming up as the reason as to why Sagittarius and his soul and their soulmate is together. The King of Wands. Wow, damn. Excuse me, guys, my throat's going crazy. But the King of Wands is the reason as to why the King of Coins or the King of Pentacles is what brought you two together. So passion and honestly commitment. Like you guys felt stable and safe in this relationship. You felt like you guys were grounded enough to be yourselves. What brought you two together was you guys, okay? Like your energy, your fire, your energy of getting the person that you wanted. That's on you. Like the reason why you guys are together is because this was what you wanted. You knew your value, you knew your worth, and you went and got it. Or somebody of fire energy definitely was, adamant about having the relationship. Right? Because the King of Wands only does what he wants to do, and he can be extremely ruthless. And the King of Pentacles is very practical, very solid, very stable, and they're of grounding energy. And I kind of feel like both of you guys are, well, one of you guys is the King of Wands, and one of you guys is the King of Pentacles. So you guys both, in your own ways, brought each other together. Like somebody was definitely passionate, was on a passionate kick, and somebody was like choosing, I don't want to say choosing a safe option, but they felt that they can build a relationship with you. They felt that, one of you guys is the King of Pentacles in this situation, pretty much what I'm saying. The King of Pentacles was the person that sought the relationship out, felt like they can definitely dedicate their time and energy to building something of stability, something of long-term and committed energy here. And the other person was purely on passion and excitement and the feeling of being in the moment with this individual, right? It wasn't long-term, figuring things out. Which is why the other person may be not really in a very practical space, right? Somebody's looking at the long-term, well, the other person wasn't, okay? And I think the person, too, in some weird way, the King of Pentacles either was a person that, that was open to providing stability for somebody that had this creative energy that they needed, that honestly needed that space. And then at the same time, with the King of Pentacles, they may have been seeking out stability, and the other person was seeking out passion, right? So it's interesting, but you have two masters here, two masters of practical thinking, of stability, comfort, routine, patterns. Like someone is very structured in the way they are, and the King of Wands is this flamboyance, unique themselves, not really thinking about the future too much, just being in the moment. But the challenges you both face is the Eight of Coins, which is progress, hard work towards a stable, an outcome. And there's no progress being made. And it's mostly because I think there's a dynamic in the relationship that's showing that's needing a bit more, belief in love and care. Okay. Wow. Very interesting reading, family. But, wow. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, to be honest. I think I've said everything. But you guys have true love. This love is a once-in-a-lifetime love. Wow. Yeah, so, I feel like I've said everything I needed to say about this reading. I'm trying to think about, what else these cards could be telling you guys. And I feel like the biggest thing that I guess to take from this reading is that, being open and surrendering to the situation, surrendering to to what's actually happening, what's actually real, what's going on. That's the best way to move forward. Because I think there's too much of trying to make this happen or not really making anything happen because, there's a lack of understanding. Like, truly embrace the situation and be open to new things. Be open to adjusting things. Be open to actually, seeing what's going on in front of you to assess how the future can pan out forward.